I was holding the pricey coffee machine I had purchased for my mother's birthday as I stood in front of her home. As I waited for someone to open the door, I moved uneasily since the box felt heavy in my arms. $2,000. After years of tense relations, I had spent that much money on this present in the hopes that it would help us reconcile. Coffee had always been Mom's favorite. When I was growing up, Mother would hum sweetly to herself while she brewed a fresh pot every morning. Before things changed, that was one of the few pleasant memories I still had of her. My stepfather, Rick, was there when the door opened. A moment of irritation flashed across his face, and then he faked a grin. Flatly, "Emma," he said, "come in." Though it was hardly recognizable today, I entered the house where I had grown up. Rick's contemporary preferences had long since supplanted the comfortable furnishings my dad had chosen. Rick, my mother, and his two girls had even taken the place of the family portraits that had earlier lined the corridor. With each step, the weight of the coffee machine increased as I followed him down the corridor. There were a number of people in the living room, including my stepsisters, Melissa and Jessica, as well as several of Mom's acquaintances, whom I faintly knew. Although they continued to live at home, they were both now enrolled in college. My mother saw me and called out, "Emma," across the room. Her hair was groomed flawlessly, and she wore a dress that looked costly. "You made it." With a forced smile, I said, "Happy birthday, Mom," and extended the present. "I thought you might like this." When she saw the big package, her eyes brightened, and I briefly felt hopeful. Perhaps this would mark a sea change in our relationship. Perhaps this pricey present will finally convince her that I am deserving of her attention once more. Eagerly, she tore open the wrapping paper, but her face transformed as she realized what was inside. She squeezed a faint line of disappointment into her lips, and without opening the box, put it aside. Flatly, "A coffee maker," she remarked. "How practical." I sensed that everyone was watching me, and the room appeared to get silent. Melissa and Jessica both grinned as Jessica whispered something to her. I felt stupid as I said, "It's top of the line. Any coffee you choose, including lattes and cappuccinos, may be made with it. I recalled your fondness for coffee, so." She murmured, "Thank you, Emma," but her tone was icy. "Let's have some cake." The rest of the night was agony. Mom laughed and talked to everyone else, but she hardly spoke to me. As I picked at my cake in the corner, I pondered why I had assumed that this time would be different. I was 19 years old when it all began 10 years ago. My entire universe collapsed at that point. Dad had cancer, and he passed away after 6 months. Without him, I was utterly lost and saddened. Dad was the one person who really understood me and had always been my pillar of support. I thought that because we were grieving together, Mom and I would get closer. Rather, a month after the burial, she met Rick. They were married in 6 months, and Rick and his girls came to live with us. I was still in college, watching my home transform into a place I no longer recognized. Every time I walked into a room where Mom, Rick, and the girls were, they'd stop talking. They'd give me these looks like I was interrupting something important. Mom started spending all her time with her new daughters, taking them shopping, helping with their homework, all the things she used to do with me. "They need me," she'd say whenever I tried to talk to her. "They're adjusting to a new home, a new school." What about me? I wanted to scream. "I just lost my dad. Don't I need you too?" But I never said it. Instead, I retreated further and further into myself until finally I couldn't take it anymore. My grandfather, Dad's father, lived on the other side of the city. He offered me a place to stay, and I jumped at the chance. Living with Grandpa was the best decision I ever made. Yes, it meant a longer commute to college, but I didn't care. For the first time since Dad died, I felt like I had family again. Grandpa understood my pain. He was grieving, too, not just for his son, but for the way Mom had so quickly moved on. "Your father would be proud of you," he'd tell me, and those simple words meant everything. I still visited Mom occasionally, but each visit was more painful than the last. The final straw came when she handed me a cardboard box filled with Dad's photos and personal belongings. "We don't need these around anymore," she said. "Rick thinks it's time to move on." That was the moment I knew I'd lost her completely. I took the box back to Grandpa's house, and we spent the evening looking through the photos together, sharing memories of the man we both loved and missed so deeply. After that, my visits became even rarer. I was happy with Grandpa. He became my family, my support, my everything. And for a while, that was enough. I was pulled from my thoughts when I realized the birthday party was winding down. Guests were leaving, offering Mom final birthday wishes and compliments on her home, her dress, her life. I stood up, thinking I should probably leave too. "Emma," Mom called out, "stay a moment, would you? We need to talk." I hesitated, then nodded. Something in her tone made my stomach knot with anxiety. I had no idea what was coming, but somehow I knew it wouldn't be good. When the last guest had left, Mom turned to me with a look I knew all too well. Rick stood beside her, arms crossed, while Melissa and Jessica lingered nearby with matching smirks. "Emma," Mom said, her voice sharp, "you could have given me something more expensive." I blinked, stunned. "What?" "The coffee maker cost $2,000. They all laughed as if I'd told a joke. Mom shook her head. "A coffee maker? Seriously, you have all that money from your grandfather, and this is what you get me." "I thought you'd like it," I said, feeling stupid. "You've always loved coffee." "I've been dropping hints for months about wanting a diamond necklace," Mom snapped. "But you're too stupid to pick up on them, apparently." Now that she mentioned it, I did remember her talking about a necklace a few times, but I hadn't realized those were hints directed at me. I didn't know. "Save it," Jessica interrupted. "God, you're so dense." Melissa nodded. "We only put up with you because Mom thought we could get money out of you, but you're too greedy to share anything substantial." I looked at Mom, waiting for her to defend me. She didn't. Instead, she nodded in agreement. "You've always been selfish, Emma, ever since you were a child." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I've been giving you money whenever you ask." "Pocket change," Rick scoffed. "Your grandfather left you $400,000 plus his house. You could be more generous with your family." "Get out," Mom said, her voice cold and final, "and don't bother coming back until you're ready to be a real daughter." I left without another word, tears blurring my vision as I drove home. How could I have been so naive? I thought we were rebuilding our relationship, but it had always been about money. That night I couldn't sleep. Around 2:00 a.m. I checked social media and felt my stomach drop. Mom had posted a picture of the coffee maker with the caption, "A useless thing from the most useless and greedy daughter in the world." Her friends had already filled the comment section with support for her and criticism of me. "You deserve better than such a stingy daughter," one wrote. "What a stupid gift," said another. As I scrolled through the hateful comments, my sadness transformed into anger. This was the last straw. For years, I'd let Mom walk all over me, desperate for any scrap of affection. No more. I remembered something Grandpa had mentioned a year before he died, something about Mom and money. It was time to dig into his old files. The next morning, I went to Grandpa's office, a room I kept exactly as it was when he was alive. His desk was still covered with neatly organized folders and papers. I started searching through the filing cabinet where he kept important documents. After an hour of searching, I found it, a legal receipt signed by my mother. According to this document, Grandpa had loaned her $150,000 to start her bakery business with the explicit condition that he could demand repayment at any time. As his heir, that right now belonged to me. I sat back in Grandpa's old leather chair, thinking about what happened after Mom got that loan. It was about a year after I'd moved in with Grandpa. Mom had shown up one day, barely acknowledging me before asking to speak with him privately. They were in his office for over an hour. What did Mom want? I'd asked when she left without saying goodbye. She needed money to start a business, Grandpa explained, looking troubled. I agreed to loan her $150,000, but only if she signed a legal document promising to repay it when requested. You're giving her money after how she's treated me, treated us. Emma, he said gently, I'm still her father-in-law, and this way I have some leverage if we ever need it. I didn't understand what he meant then, but I do now. Grandpa was always thinking ahead. After getting the money, Mom opened a bakery in a busy part of town. It did well, and soon she was flaunting her success on social media, posting pictures of her new car, fancy vacations with Rick and the girls, always with captions about being a self-made businesswoman. Then, just after my college graduation, Grandpa had a massive heart attack. He was gone before I could even get to the hospital to say goodbye. I was devastated, completely lost without him. He'd been my rock for 4 years, the only real family I had left. According to his will, everything he owned, the house and $400,000 in savings, went to me. I wasn't surprised. What did surprise me was Mom showing up at the house the day after the funeral, demanding her fair share of the inheritance. I refused, we argued. She called me selfish and ungrateful. I told her she had no right to Grandpa's money after the way she erased Dad from her life. She left in a fury, and we didn't speak for 3 years. During that time, I settled into a comfortable life. I had a good job in marketing, lived in Grandpa's paid-off house, and had his savings wisely invested. I wasn't rich, but I was secure and independent. Then, last Christmas, in a moment of seasonal weakness, I reached out to Mom with a simple holiday text. To my surprise, she responded warmly and invited me to a Christmas gathering. Foolishly believing in the spirit of reconciliation, I bought gifts for everyone and went. Mom seemed genuinely happy to see me. We exchanged presents, had dinner, and for the first time in years, I felt like maybe we could have some kind of relationship again. A month later, she called, asking for $10,000. The equipment in her bakery had broken down, she explained, and all work had stopped. Without thinking, I transferred the money to her account. "You're a lifesaver, Emma," she said. "I knew I could count on you." That was the beginning. Small requests followed: $2,000 for Jessica's tuition payment, $3,000 for unexpected tax bills, $1,500 for repairs to their house. Each time, I gave without asking for repayment, happy to help and hoping it would strengthen our fragile reconnection. What a fool I'd been. With the receipt in hand, I picked up my phone and called Mr. Peterson, Grandpa's lawyer and friend. "Emma." He greeted warmly. "It's been too long. How are you?" "I need your advice," I said, explaining the situation with Mom and the loan. "Yes, I remember drafting that agreement," he said. "As your grandfather's heir, you have every legal right to demand repayment. Would you like me to handle this for you?" "Yes," I said firmly, I would. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I made myself a cup of coffee and smiled at the irony. Mom had sneered at my gift, but I actually loved my own coffee maker. I called Mr. Peterson again to confirm the details of our plan. After we hung up, I went shopping for a small gift box, one that might hold a jewelry box, perfect for a diamond necklace. I made a copy of the loan receipt, folded it neatly, and placed it inside the box along with a handwritten note: "Payment in full due within 30 days. Before sending it, I texted Mom. "I felt bad about yesterday. I'm sending another gift your way, something I think you'll appreciate more than the coffee maker." Her reply came immediately. "Mom, I hope it's the diamond necklace I've been hinting at." I smiled to myself. It's definitely a surprise you won't forget." I called a courier service for same-day delivery and tracked the package on my phone. When it showed as delivered, I waited and waited. 30 minutes later, my phone exploded with notifications. Mom was calling nonstop. I declined each call, watching as the count reached 10, 15, 20 calls. Then the texts started coming. Mom, Emma, call me now. This isn't funny. You can't do this to me. Answer your damn phone. I let her stew for a full hour before finally answering on the 31st call. How dare you? She screamed before I could even say hello. You have no right to demand that money back. Actually, I do, I replied calmly. I've already spoken with Mr. Peterson. As Grandpa's heir, I've inherited all his assets and obligations, including your debt to him. That was between me and your grandfather. Not legally. The receipt clearly states the loan is repayable on demand to him or his heir. I am his heir. I don't have that kind of money just lying around. Her voice cracked. The bakery isn't doing that well. We've been struggling. That's not my problem. You have 30 days. Emma, please. Her tone changed completely, becoming soft and pleading. I'm sorry about the coffee maker comment. I was just disappointed. You know how I get when I drink too much. I took down that stupid social media post. This isn't about the post, Mom, or the coffee maker. I paused. This is about 10 years of you choosing everyone else over me. This is about you erasing Dad from your life 6 months after he died. This is about you treating me like an ATM while calling me greedy. She was quiet for a moment. What do you want, Emma? An apology. Fine. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have moved on so quickly after your father died. I shouldn't have let Rick change everything. I shouldn't have pushed you away. I don't want your apology. I want the $150,000. You have 30 days. Over the next 2 weeks, Mom tried everything. She called, texted, and emailed constantly. When I blocked her number, she started showing up at my house. I never answered the door. Once, I watched through the window as she stood on my porch for almost an hour, alternating between knocking and sitting on the steps with her head in her hands. Rick called my work and tried to speak to me there, but I had security escort him out. Melissa and Jessica sent nasty texts from new numbers when I blocked their regular ones. They called me heartless, cruel, a terrible daughter. I saved every message as evidence of harassment, just in case. Mom even sent some of her friends to plead her case. One of them, her best friend Susan, caught me in the grocery store parking lot. Your mother, she said, she might lose everything. The bakery, their house. That's not my concern, I replied, loading my groceries into my car. How can you be so cold? She's your mother. I looked at her directly. Where was this concern when she was posting about what a useless, greedy daughter I am? Where were you when she kicked me out of her life after my dad died? When she moved my stepsisters into my childhood bedroom? When she threw away all traces of my father? Susan had no answer for that. She just shook her head and walked away. 3 weeks after I sent the gift box, Mr. Peterson called me. Your mother has contacted me, he said. She's arranged for a loan to repay the full amount. We're meeting tomorrow to complete the transaction. Do you want to be present? I thought about it. Yes, I want to be there. The next day, I met Mom at Mr. Peterson's office. She looked terrible, pale with dark circles under her eyes. For a moment, I felt a twinge of regret. But then I remembered her laughing face as she mocked my gift, the cruel caption on her social media post, the years of neglect. Mom barely looked at me as she signed the papers and handed over a cashier's check for $150,000. Mr. Peterson verified everything and nodded to me. This concludes our business, he said formally. As we stood to leave, Mom finally spoke directly to me. I hope you're happy now, she said, her voice flat. You've ruined us, just like you always wanted. I never wanted to ruin you, Mom, I said quietly. I just wanted you to love me the way you loved your new family. You know what? She laughed bitterly. For years I told myself I was a good mother to you. that you were the problem. Too sensitive, too clingy, too much like your father. But looking at you now, I can see him in you, that same stubborn pride, that refusal to back down." She shook her head. "You're a terrible daughter, Emma, but I guess I wasn't much of a mother either." She walked out without waiting for my response. I stood there, feeling strangely empty. This wasn't the closure I'd imagined. There was no satisfaction, no sense of triumph, just a hollow feeling where my anger had been. "Are you all right?" Mr. Peterson asked. I nodded. "I will be." As I drove home, I wondered if I'd done the right thing. The money wasn't really the point. It was about making her feel a fraction of the pain she caused me. Had I stooped to her level? Maybe. But for the first time in years, I felt like I'd taken control of my own story. A month passed. I threw myself into work, barely thinking about Mom and her family. Their problems were no longer my concern. Still, curiosity got the better of me. One evening, I found myself checking her social media. Her once active accounts had gone quiet. The last post was from 2 weeks ago, a simple for sale sign in front of her bakery. I felt a surge of satisfaction. Actions have consequences, and Mom was finally facing hers. I closed the browser and poured myself a glass of wine to celebrate my newfound freedom. My phone rang. It was Lisa, my colleague from work. "You won't believe who I just saw working at Burton's department store," she said without preamble. "Who?" "Your stepsister. The younger one. Jessica, right?" I smiled to myself. "Jessica, are you sure?" "Positive." She was folding sweaters in the women's section. She looked miserable. I thanked Lisa for the information and hung up. So they really were struggling. Good. The loan repayment had hit them exactly as they deserved. A week later, I needed to pick up some groceries. As I turned down the cereal aisle, I saw her, Melissa, the older stepsister, stocking shelves in a supermarket uniform. She saw me too. Our eyes met briefly before she quickly disappeared into the stockroom. I finished my shopping without hurry. As I loaded my bags into my car, I noticed someone watching me from across the parking lot. It was Melissa, smoking a cigarette on her break. When she saw me looking, she dropped the cigarette and stormed over. "Happy now?" she asked, her voice hard but trembling slightly. "Actually, yes," I replied calmly. "I am." "Yeah, well, this is my life now, thanks to you." She gestured at her uniform. "I had to drop out of college. We both did. Mom and Rick can't afford tuition anymore, not after paying back your grandfather's loan." "Let's be honest here," I said, crossing my arms. "For years you, Jessica, and your dad treated me like I was nothing. You three moved into my childhood home and erased every trace of my father within months of his death." Melissa shifted uncomfortably. "That wasn't our fault. That was Mom and Dad's decision." "And what about at the birthday party? Jessica literally said you only reconciled with me to get money. You called me greedy for giving a $2,000 gift instead of diamonds." I laughed. "You saw me as your personal ATM, nothing more." Melissa fell silent, unable to counter my points. "You never saw me as family," I continued. "You saw me as a cash cow. Well, the cow decided to stop giving milk. Deal with it." She stared at me, her mouth opening and closing without words. "I have to get back to work," she finally mumbled, turning away. "Good luck with those shelves," I called after her. I got into my car, feeling lighter than I had in years. No guilt, no regret, just the satisfaction of finally standing up for myself. 2 days later, I drove by the bakery. The for sale sign was still there, but now there was a sold sticker across it. I parked and headed to the coffee shop next door on a whim. I had been there when Mom initially launched her company, so the barista knew me. She brought me my coffee and added, "Shame about Sweet Dreams Bakery, isn't it?" "Things don't always work out," I said in a neutral tone. She moved closer and said, "Between you and me, I believe she took on more than she could handle, took on too much debt, and started too large. You know, that's what happens when people attempt to live beyond their means. I took my coffee to a table by the window after nodding. What the barista said supported my suspicions. Mom had always cared about her appearance and wanted to seem accomplished. The expensive trips, the fashionable clothing, the nice car, all while seemingly battling to maintain the business. Had the bakery gotten any of the $110,000 I offered her for malfunctioning equipment? Most likely not. I made the decision to take a break from work the next weekend. I merited a respite, a commemoration of my triumph and newly acquired autonomy. I made reservations for a 2-week coastal getaway. Right on the shore is a little cabin. I was thrilled by the opportunities that awaited me as I packed my baggage. The cottage was ideal. It was peaceful, uncomplicated, and the only sound to distract me was the sound of the waves. I enjoyed my independence, read novels I had been putting off, and took walks on the beach throughout the day. No more deceit, no more journeys of guilt. Don't use my money anymore. I received a text message from an unidentified number on my final day at the beach. Jessica is here. I was told by Melissa that she saw you. I just wanted to let you know that Mom has been talking about you while drinking a lot. Bad things. If you know what's best for you, stay away from her. I didn't reply and erased the note. I no longer cared about their issues. There was a note in my mailbox when I got home. Official stationery. No address for return. Mom's handwritten message said, "Emma, I don't forgive you for what you did. Just as I previously choose a new family over you, you chose money over family. Perhaps we are worthy of one another. Never get in touch with us again. Without your kindness or your harshness, we'll get by." Mom. After reading the message again, I ripped it up into little pieces and threw them in the garbage. No more playing with emotions, no more feelings of guilt. I had finished it all. Things improved. With fresh enthusiasm, I returned to my job, resumed dating, joined a book club, and even started organizing a vacation overseas, something I had always wanted to do but had put off. Mutual acquaintances informed me that Mom and Rick were still together but were having difficulties. Both females had full-time jobs, and their plans to attend college had been put on hold indefinitely. I didn't feel guilty at all. I had made my decision, and they had made theirs. They decided to disregard my father's memories, treat me like an outsider, and take advantage of me for their own financial gain. I made the decision to remove toxic individuals from my life and claim what was rightfully mine. To be honest, I have no idea if we will ever communicate again, and I don't care. Even family members aren't always worth maintaining in your life, particularly if you are treated like a financial account by family members.